Hello there everyone and welcome back. Happy New Year's to you all, for I am going to be diving back into this orc fleet, I think. With a couple tweaks to it, but I want to know for certain if this is just a gimmick. Maybe I got ridiculously lucky because after all, the winter sale did take place in my last few videos, so it's likely we're dealing with very inexperienced opponents after all. So with the bugs I talked about before to the lances and torpedoes, I don't expect this to perform well. At least, what am I trying to say? At least competitively, at least seriously, I suppose. But that doesn't mean it's not ridiculously fun to play with when it goes well, I guess. It is one of those fleets, but what I have in mind, although I'm going to probably swap out one of these Stompas, is I did switch the battlecruiser around to at least include a hangar bay. The downside is the battlecruisers only have like a single bay, so if I'm feeling really bold, let's see, where is the one that has two carrier bays? This one here. So if I'm willing to have a weaker ship that has no saps, keep in mind that's the reason why I don't want the cruiser, is maybe I can downgrade to get more fighter bays, but a single fighter bay, that does me almost nothing outside of maybe vision. Hell, even though I have two carrier ships currently, the fact that they're split out in half and have two separate hit point pools is a big deal when I'm trying to fight off fighters and bombers, as well as like trying to deal with torpedoes, especially since most opponents will use the fighters to kind of screen for them. But it's a thought I had in mind and one I'm probably going to use to at least help with mitigating a little bit more of the torpedoes. And again, it provides some vision which can be important against Eldari, especially against Tyranids. As we've seen, the torpedoes can synergize incredibly well, since I got 6 charges to burn on these orcs, so why not take advantage of that? And best of all, it is a way for me to start spending up, this extra points that I have here. But we're going to try this again, and see if I just got lucky. Worst case, we're going to have some more ridiculous matches. Alright, Imperial Navy, I want to say I faced off against this person before, although with a number barcode, I can't entirely be certain, if I were to be honest. But it's Imperial Navy nonetheless, so we're going to be in for hopefully a good match. There's going to be a lot of ramming. Probably my opponent's going to be doing more of the ramming since they have the convenience of high energy turn. And their ramming spurs kind of helps encourage that quite heavily. But if I can get my boring damage in, at least at the start, early on, I should be doing pretty good for myself. Although, why is my chat not... There we go. Oh, and I ruined it immediately. I was trying to hit the enter button multiple times and it wasn't working. Don't know why. Now, what do I have in mind, really? I can't... It's just the same old thing that we do every other day there, Pinky. Just try and run over our adversary. I think it's the plan. Since it's possible they could be going carrier heavy, I don't think that would be the best choice for them, but I at least have fighters to help deal with that some. And I think there's a tiny bit of latency as well, but it doesn't seem that significant when you look at the ping. But I am noticing it's kind of slow responding to my stances, which scares me a bit. And of course, jumping around like this kind of noticeable too, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a big concern for me. Otherwise... Oh, I didn't group these guys yet. This is becoming a theme, isn't it? I'm afraid to admit. Never mind the fact that this is the wrong area to go to. If I want to at least try and grab objectives. Oh well, I could correct that momentarily now that everything's grouped up. And I'll use my rock for the plans. Oh, I forgot to save, didn't I? Oh no. I did save. Apparently my carrier ship is no longer my flagship, which I kind of would have preferred. I'm going to have to fix that, I suppose. Since I feel like the carrier ship or the flagship best serves the carrier. Since I don't... There's a lot more incentive to try and keep it alive since it has that added utility for me. Either way. It's hard to tell what our opponent's using. It's looking possible like a 4 battleship type of fleet though. Actually, I'm seeing 3, 4, okay, so it's... Given the formation, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, it didn't seem like battleships, all battleships anyway. Oh well, I can at least use my fighters to help provide a little bit of vision. And this may be a subtle benefit right here on why I have these fighters. Unless they immediately respond to them and deny me vision, this gives me an opportunity for my lances to at least engage at max range. Which I think is a big deal, but... Oh, speaking of which. So Dictator and Novacan, that's important to note. The fact that they had to commit fighters to that tells me so damn much. Now let's see if I can use my rock to good effect. And there is some terrible latency there on the burn retros, so I need to be good about spraying out this fleet. I'm going to ignore the objective altogether because I don't think I'm going to win this micromanagement game that's probably being asked of me. So worst case, I'll just have the frigate grab the points for me. And did my fighters make it back? Yeah, they made it back alright. And we got more fighters coming in for lances and all that shit, good stuff. Just gotta watch for the Novacans. The last thing I want to lose is damn technicality on the latency. Because everyone's still in point defense range. You revealed the ships, that don't help a whole lot yet. And they're positioning themselves for said Novacans, keep that in mind too. And I'm okay if the Rocks takes hits. Alright. So Rock, please dodge that shot for me. Oh, we're gonna... I am terribly spread out, let's keep that in mind. But they're all... I dodged everything immaculately. Outside maybe... Well, the Rock was taking lance fire, let's not kid ourselves, so that's part of it as well. And you still have shields, so that helps a ton there. So I'm fine with that. And now, see if we can fire on our adversary quite heavily. So they're about to get their boosters up. No Novacan there, and if they... Actually, I want them to fire Novacan, if truth be told. Because then they're not moving. Keep that in mind. Although I'm doing a terrible job with my saps, with that said. Alright, let's go make their lives a little miserable, shall we? Because you're making that easy for me. So shields are going down, that's fine. And did I get some good boring? At least one of their ships is threatening to break on me. And now that they're turning completely away from me, I basically have free reign here. I just regret that I completely forgot to use my chain fire saps. That's the only thing I really regret about this engagement, but so far it's looking immaculate. And also I have torpedoes on you, so let's take advantage of that. And Auger Disruptor sadly is not going to do you much good. That's not how Auger Disruptor works best. Although it does give a pretty light show, doesn't it, to all of my ships. Now, engines are sadly permanently down for the rest of this. So we're going to have to make this work with torpedoes, I suppose. Can I at least dodge them? Alright. I consider this a damn good run. Even though my opponent did not fall for the bait, let's be honest, I consider that a good job on my opponent's end, to not really fixate on the Rocks so much. I was just really fast to respond to the Novacans. And thankfully, they decided to fire even while my shields were still at full strength, so even if I just barely dodged them, the only real damage I would have taken would have been the morale. It is a newer opponent, so I always feel bad about that, especially since we are getting a surge of new players. for our the winter sale. And the last thing I want to do is to contribute towards scaring them off. Even with how simplistic and how much I don't believe this fleet should work. It is working phenomenally. Alright, more Imperial Navy. I recognize Warhawk somewhere, so we should be in for a little more of a different type of match. I want to say at least. Since so far, my Orks have been, not been halted in their rampage, and I feel like that needs to end eventually, for the sake of this fleet's, future success. Because if they are perceived to be overpowered even with these bugs, how ridiculous are you think they're going to feel when the saps and everything are working as they should, for crying out loud? We can't have that. I would say so anyway, because in all honesty, who knows how potentially overpowered this sap will work if it works as worded. Although, I again forgot to swap out my carrier ship to be my flagship, but that's no real big loss, I suppose, if I were to be honest. It just, the flagship is what I want to keep us alive at all costs, and when I have the added utility of a carrier ship, that helps to incentivize that quite a bit. Now what? Oh yeah, I was wondering what was not grouped there. So, I'm just going to have this take point. I have a fighter bay to kind of reveal ships, and best of all, let's try and hold fire. I also came to the realization that I do not have saps on the ship. So I'm just wondering what the hell do I have? Just extended range on them apparently. Which I guess isn't a big deal for 1 second saps. But I still would have liked my slow effect to help compound on the strategy I'm kind of going for after all. Okay. We got ourselves a real fight here. I'm going to say we're dealing with 5 Grand Cruisers. I don't want to say they're Avengers though. We got 8 Exorcists, so, and they're only fighters. And I'm gonna, well, let's see, that's not going slower, so that can't be bombers, with that said. So I kind of want to go brace for impact pretty soon. But we know one of them's an Emperor, or at least an Oberon rather. And then we have 1 Exorcist, so that just leaves what the other 3 ships are. And now that they're in the gas clouds, kind of impossible to see them due to another possible glitch there. Although I know where they're going already. No one's really surprised. And, well, it's possible they could be boarding ships, but that doesn't feel like it's going to be very helpful for my opponent after all. Since I got really good crew compliments already. But I kind of want to have brace for impact at the ready. Although I'm just realizing this isn't a very good angle for my saps, is it, to kind of hit. So let's grab the objective at least.
You have seized a strategic area.
See where the hell the fighters went, because they're completely AWOL now. We got valuable intel on what kind of ships they were, and now they're completely gone, so I want to say they were going after the rock. Okay. So I'm gonna ram myself, sadly, so that was a bit of a panic. Thankfully, it's only on the 83 armor per round, so that's not a big deal, but I think we're good for now. Let's just try and untangle this mess, because that's a big deal. I was kind of flat-footed by a single Novacan, because after all, we saw things that were not really Novacans after all. So let's reveal these ships, so that I can prepare my sapping frenzy here. And we do have fighter bays to help with these assault ships. It's still a dangerous fleet. It is a bit of a mixed-up fleet. We're not seeing all the usual upgrades. Everything get on in. And I rammed my old frigate, I think. Or unless that was one of theirs. That could be. And everything made out but one. And even then, I would argue it would make it out pretty soon, too. Now, sap our ship so we can board it to hell, shall we? And yes, this thing is being slowed quite heavily, so that works out well for me. And you're on all sorts of fire. You're kind of doing what I want you to do, though, at the same time, so I'm okay with that. Now, let's try and change this. And how many torpedoes do we have going? Because I did launch torpedoes, I just can't remember if I launched torpedoes, or I don't see them rather, because I'm going the exact same damn speed. Alright. So torpedoes are gone there, this ship's about to break. Now, just gotta keep an eye on the flagship with that said. And brace for impact will help a ton here in this regard. Just wreck these ships as much as possible. And reactivate this ship as good measure. Oh, I was hoping the boarding ships would reactivate, but I guess not. Now everything getting engagement. Sadly, that's all lost its crew again, which is unfortunate, but can we wreck these things nicely?
Boss, we smashed up on the enemy ship. Here we go.
And also board that ship for good measure. Although the flagship's still alive, I'm just realizing, so that's a bit of a mistake on my part.
Boss, we smashed up on the enemy ship.
And I have 16 seconds for another rally, so keep that in mind. So keep that in mind. Let that get murdered, I suppose. Come on, start moving for me, please. This thing is not moving and it's infuriating me. I don't know why you're refusing to work, but okay. Oh, I did call to arms when I didn't mean to. I wanted to do a rally, and that was a stupid idea, apparently, as a result of that. So I'm doing myself a bit of a disservice here.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Actually, let me just try and murder this. And see if I could kill this. Probably not, although the rocks did get destroyed, so I did myself a bit of a disservice there. Because I had opportunities for torpedoes to hit. That failed horribly. And I thought I had killed the flagship. And it's not quite over yet, but since everything's already broken. Yeah, I don't even think killing the flagship would have helped me there. So I messed up. I need more torpedo hits, and again, killing that flagship would have helped a ton. And apparently, destroying their engines, trying to prioritize the engines, didn't do me any favors either. So I did myself a disservice. So let's see if we can correct this wrong. Alright, so we're faced off against Warhawk again with the Necron, so in theory my boarding should be incredibly effective here, but can I outlast the amount of damage we were probably expecting to encounter, though? Because, let's be honest, I think we're expecting the, what is it, triple scourges? So I need to be prepared for that. And there's two ways to go about that. Get reckless on their ass, which means I get at them before they start overwhelming me with their boarding, or at least their fighters, which could be possible. I can use brace for impact and all that, which in all honesty I'm going to have, again, that's what I expect my opponents doing here, is using the triple scourges. And I have a good plethora of fighter bays to help a lot here in this regard. Or not fighter bays, but gas clouds. I just gotta be smart with how I position them to get the best amount of time I can, since I want everything clumped together. To maximize my point defense, I just don't want to go point defense right away is the problem, but... or brace for impact. It's just an off chance that they are not doing that strategy. We'll see.
You got it.
Okay, so that confirms that. So let's see what happens here. Because I want to try to advance as they are basically not able to launch their fighters, especially with the chasm that is the gas clouds.
Move that junk.
It'll limit their ability. All the ships are potentially right there, and so that works out a little bit better for him, but that's fine. Just doing the smart thing, I suppose, but
You got it. Orks,
let's just boost with everything then.
we won.
Start killing these off, use the gas clouds for a bit of a screen.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You're allowed to keep moving. It's kind of important, but at the same time, your point defense is also really important. So you can reveal me whatever you want to do there, although they're just flying in a random direction, that's kind of fine.
Us over there.
That's just gonna get shot down immediately. I'm hoping anyway. There.
You got it.
I hope you have beacons there, because you're gonna need them.
We's ready. Retro's on. You got it. Here we go. Orks is best. Retro's on.
Well, thanks for flying the torpedoes a little bit for me. May not help too much, I suppose, but it's there nonetheless.
You got it, boss. We's ready. Get him.
Kill that frigate. That's all I want right now.
Time to stump him.
I am not interested in being metagame, so let's make this work.
Let's show him.
Oh, interestingly, they're not. Okay. Alright, I can rest easy now. It's not a Scourge fleet anymore.
Faster, you grots. Here we
They ran off. Their fighters are engaged with me. Oh,
You got it.
gotta be careful. I might ram myself here.
Here we go.
And ideally, I want to protect my ships the best I can.
Yeah. Orks,
Perfect.
orks, orks.
It's a bit of a cramped mess,
Retro's on.
but we'll go with it. Oh my god, I'm lucky there with that engine permanent critical hit, aren't I?
You have seized a strategic area.
That is convenient, but alright.
You got it, boss.
What I thought may have been a difficult match is definitely in my advantage quite well here,
Retro's on.
because I do have the range to force an engagement on them now, which is something you would not expect with mega cannons, although
Retro's on.
I would like you to stay. Actually, I'm going to use the rockets to kind of bait them out.
We's ready.
I say that, but my ships are a little bit awkwardly placed. And they do have ways to deal with my torpedoes, so let's try and scatter these out and force them to use some pulses.
Faster, you grunts!
And thankfully I do have time to kind of spread this out, or at least avoid their cannons.
You got it. Move that junk! Enemy ship sighted!
Now, ram these things to Kingdom Come. Especially if you're just gonna go with upgrades for that.
The fire's over here!
Now, I have the hit point pool to take these hits really well.
Golden boys did good, bud.
And I thought I fired damn torpedoes. Why didn't you fire torpedoes, I wonder?
We stopped the enemy ship!
You are out at the scarab field. That's gonna die in a moment. Actually, let me just move the flagship out of the way, so that way it doesn't hit anything else.
Here we go! Mordecai!
Now, let me stop screwing up somehow.
Over there!
Because I want to murder the flagship before it can get another salvo off. And I hope those boring torpedoes hit. And they didn't hit very well.
The fire's over here! Orks!
Now I have what? Oh god, I'm gonna hit myself. No!
Here we go!
That's not at all what I want, but if we can deny this thing its ability to use that scarab swarm again, that helps. I'm hoping, but we need to do more damage for that to work, I guess. And the flagship's likely gonna die pretty soon due to the fire assaults.
Move that junk!
Alright, boost away, bomb away.
Over here!
We have torpedoes come up, and this is gonna be very limping on crew. And actually, the flagship might survive all the fire assaults, potentially.
You got it!
So I'm hoping that's true.
Golden boys did
Actually,
good, boss!
I'm about... Well, I'm not really going to lose my flagship anytime soon, so let's at least deal with this the best we can.
Orders over there!
I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. But the crew is going to be gone. That's going to be ineffectual. I say that just as it's able to use its ability.
Got it, boss!
Good news, ship is deactivated again. Now we just gotta kill off this last one. I am gonna take a bit of damage still. Especially with the flagship about to break on me too.
Holding is what Orks do best!
I feel like my ships are not moving. Keep in mind, this thing is not burning retros and yet is not turning all, and I don't know why that is.
The fire's over here!
There is probably some weird shenanigans going on with my control that's really hindering my effectiveness with this fleet.
Turn, fix it!
And I could not for the life of you tell you why.
Orks do best!
Alright.
Faster, you grunts! Aye! That ship's got
That's gonna be another mystery for another time, I suppose. Dang it. Because that honestly feels really sloppy for me, but you honestly saw it, right? I did not tell that ship to do an attack order. I tried to tell it to do a move order. And there it is, turns the entire broadside to the enemy. When I would have realistically liked it to have gotten closer. Ah, well. We got our vengeance, I suppose. Ooh, we're gonna get more Necrons here. I don't recognize you in the slaves, though, but there is still that precarious position of having to deal with scourges. Although, I like to think my placement and how I was moving was pretty good, but if A smart Scourge, or was it? A smart player was using the Scourges since they do have two different abilities of fighters, keep that in mind. One is their regular command ability. Then they could easily just keep constant vision on me, or at least cover the gas clouds. At least reveal me again as soon as I get out of said cover anyway. That's the main thing to make note of. Now, what is the plan? Well, the plan is the same as always, and there is a slight bit of a latency spike. And I could easily have a frigate grab that point. How do I best want to move? It sounds like someone has a bunch of close range abilities. I think we may have already seen this, so we know what to expect. Otherwise, let's get the frigate in here, and I think I forgot to group something. Oh, I forgot to I grouped all but one of these cruisers. Just when I thought I was getting into the habit of remembering to prioritize or set these up, it's failing abysmally. Oh well. I'm not too terribly worried. I just got to keep my boosters handy for when I may need to disengage, and have my ships go in piecemeal, not all at once, to maximize the damage of their possible AoE ability. And if it's Devil Tomb ship, well, then we have to deal with a lot. Actually, I don't even need the slow saps. Wog Song's perfect for this, which is an oversight I did in my last attempt match with Warhawk. And I did give my ship, the carrier one, I did put in the Stomper yet again, but I do have it on the flagship this time, and it might be helpful for knowing what we're up against. So the big question, okay, we're not dealing. I want to destroy engines just because it is their inertialess drive after all. So, there, I just told my entire strategy or my entire weakness. Let's see if my opponent can capitalize on it.
You got it, boss.
And let's not fly our rocks into I wonder if my opponent knows about the ships being red. Although I could have done that myself, let's be honest. I could have saved us all a lot of trouble. And apparently this frigate's really dang speedy. Well, they did. Yeah, it's a dirge, that's what it means. And you're gonna just hide in this dang gas cloud? Oh. I think what's going on here is maybe a light cruiser, maybe? Structural analyzer, arc propagator, so this is the usual stuff. I think we know what's going on here to an extent. I just have not been paying much attention. Huh, okay, so you decide to jump away. Odd, but I'll go with it. What do I expect is going to be going on here? Probably the micro-warp jump shenanigans or the mass recall shenanigans, since the tomb ship was not hitting. And we see the... Well, you didn't burn retros, so there's always that. Or not burn retros, but hold fire. And my fighters have not been made back yet, which makes me kind of wish I destroyed them, but oh well. This is where I try and separate my ships piecemeal. So that way, they're not all going to get jumped at once by this potential shenanigans. And we do get bored on you, so I would like to kill this ship. Since I have the possibility, and it did jump. I know exactly what's going on, it's just a matter of how do we reveal this flagship. Oh. Well, that helps. So sadly that's hitting again. It got, well, actually got a range, but it took a lot of damage. And keep in mind, arc propagator and all that, but does not have... Was that the flagship is what I was honestly curious about.
Faster, you
That's something I did not pay a lot of attention to. And I am sadly also flying into the asteroid belt, which should be fine. I'm gonna take damage still, alright. Yeah, I took damage, sadly.
What you want?
Now, you're about to scan her pulse, which is fine.
Here we go.
And I am watching for flagships still.
Yeah? Enemy ship sighted.
There. Destroy the engine's the main thing I would like. And I did not... Well, I don't have the slow effect anymore, let's be honest. I have the Wog song to help with this, so... If the light cruiser is the flagship, then I will say you're probably doing it wrong already. Just mainly because you're supposed to jump the ships onto me after all. That's part of the reason, but... We'll know pretty soon if that's actually the case or not. Yep, just hit the rocks there. Just jump around. Avoid taking all this damage, ideally. And try to avoid getting hit by this. So neither of them are the flagship, keep that in mind. Yes, just keep running, although I did a terrible job with the hitting of my ships here, apparently. That is unfortunate. But engines are quickly hit. They're getting boarded. We're gonna get more boarding with that said.
You got it, boss.
I'm waiting for the eventual mass recall, though. And I do have a rally, but that was terrible preparation on my part, I guess. Now, do I have torpedoes? Yes, I will in 3 seconds. Board the hell out of this ship, please. And with that said... Oh, you accidentally turned it off, I'm afraid to say. And we could kill the light cruiser pretty well, too. So no, you don't have mass recall. Alright, I can rest easy then. Knowing that's not what you have. I was a little bit wondering if that's you were going the proper way. Which was... Actually, let's just ram the ship in. I was kind of hoping maybe that could have rammed and got killed, but... It's enough. It's a bit of a mess, I won't lie. But we got good amount of troop damage. Is again a less experienced opponent, but they have the level ups. And I'm doing myself again another bit of a disservice here. And maybe I could kill this frigate for good measure. Because imagine how poor my regular damage torpedoes are going to be against these ships. Since I don't have... Yeah, since they don't ignore armor or penetrate through armor, keep that in mind. That's a big factor here. Because flagship's gone. This can get put into firing range, and I actually could board it more, but it's already pretty well crippled, but actually walks on. That's the reason why I moved my flagship the way I did, was for the Wog song to kick in.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Well. This match is basically over. I just need to manage this morale damage in the heat right now. I say heat. That's more of like a mech warrior term. Either way, as soon as you're out of the gas cloud, I'm golden. Just take your time staying there, I guess, if you're smart. Although we'll force you out of it. And let me wait till the fires expire first before I do any of that. Well, they seem to have some sense of what's going on. Come on, expire the fire already, damn it. There's a reason why I'm waiting. There we go. Engines are down. Saps are doing their thing. You are now sort of operational. Now watch for just how little damage these regular torpedoes do. I don't even know if they did damage, if I were to be honest. I didn't really notice much damage. But that should kill off the flagship, at least. It's just... Or else it should kill off the crew of the tomb ship, ideally. Especially if I can get a couple more broadside boarding in to kind of seal the deal.
You have accumulated 50%
And yet,
strategic points.
this was still a very close type of match in the sense that as soon as this flagship kind of gets destroyed, or probably retreats from the battle entirely, I probably would suffer a lot of morale damage. So in truth, I should have done a better job trying to dodge those, was it, transdimensional bolts. Because that was a lot of unnecessary damage I took there. And hell, I do wonder if the tractor cannon was even useful for that matchup. Since after all, outside of their inertialess drive, which I honestly can't do anything about, I do have a relatively easy time to getting close, so I seriously should have considered a Nova Cannon, because that could be pretty handy. I want to say, I want to say, if not the plasma bomb, since that seems like where I was having issues, just at serious risk of running out of damage there, especially with my boring torpedoes being all spent at that point, near the end of that battle.